There was a man who ran a two-bay station and cleaned battery terminals with a pinch of steel wool on every car that came through for 40 years. He never sold a battery in his life. Not one. He would put a new one in if a customer brought it, but he did not stock them, and he did not push them. And the joke around town was that he had run the only station in the county that could not sell you the one part every car eventually needs. He was not being noble. He simply understood something the counter at the parts store has no reason to tell you. Most batteries that get replaced in this country are not dead. They are dirty. Lead sulfate builds on a post as a white or blue crust, and it is an insulator. A crust you can barely see adds resistance, and resistance starves the starter of the amperage it needs. So the engine cranks slow. Slow cranking gets called a weak battery. The battery gets tested under load, fails while it is still wearing that crust, and goes in the trash with 3 good years left in it. He scrubbed it off with steel wool, tightened the clamps, and the car started like it was new. He did that thousands of times. I ran the parts counter and then the shop floor for 30 years, and I watched men buy batteries they did not need every single winter. By the end of this, you will know his whole routine, why steel wool is the one part of it I will not tell you to copy, and how to know for certain whether your battery is finished or just filthy. Number 16 is the change he made in his last years after he watched a man get burned, and it costs $6. Number 9 is the free test that tells you whether to spend $200 or nothing at all. And number 1 takes 2 minutes a year, and it is the reason his customers went a decade between batteries. These 25 tricks were never about steel wool. They were about a man who would not condemn a part until he had cleaned it, because a dirty part and a dead part look exactly alike to everybody, except the man willing to spend 5 minutes finding out. Let us count down the 25 things he did on those 2 posts. Number 25. Reading the crust before touching anything. The color tells you where the problem is. White or light gray powder is normal sulfation from age and vibration. Blue or green means copper corroding in the clamp itself. And a heavy build on one post only points at that one connection, not at the battery. A station man in 1968 named it before he cleaned it. The crust is not just mess. It is the first sentence of the diagnosis. Number 24. Disconnecting negative first, always. The negative post is grounded to the whole car, so if your wrench touches metal while you're on the positive post, you have completed a circuit through the tool in your hand. Negative comes off first, goes back on last. A shopman in 1968 taught that before he taught anything. It is not superstition. It is the difference between a loose nut and a welded wrench. Number 23. Neutralizing with baking soda and water. A tablespoon in a cup of warm water, brushed onto the posts and clamps, and the acid residue fizzes and stops. It is chemistry, not scrubbing, and it reaches into the clamp where a brush cannot. Keep it out of the cells if the caps come off. A garage man in 1968 mixed a fresh cup every morning. The acid did not stop working because you wiped it. It stopped because something neutralized it. Number 22. Cleaning the clamp, not just the post. Men shine the post and put a corroded clamp back on it, and the connection is exactly as bad as it was. The inside face of the clamp is where the current actually crosses. You clean both mating surfaces to bright lead. A station man in 1968 held the clamp up to the light before he set it down. The post is the half you can see. The clamp is the half that matters. Number 21. Torquing the clamp right and knowing when to stop. A loose clamp arcs and heats and corrodes faster than a clean one ever will. An over-tightened clamp cracks the post seal or splits the lead. You snug it until the clamp will not twist by hand and you stop. A mechanic in 1968 tested it with 2 fingers. It is not the tightest connection that lasts. It is the one that is fully seated and not deformed. Number 20. The felt washers nobody buys anymore. Those little chemically treated felt rings that slip over the post under the clamp used to come with every battery, and they cost about $1 for a pair. They absorb acid mist and hold it off the bare lead, and they work. A station man in 1968 put a fresh pair on every battery he touched. They vanished from the counter because nobody makes money on a $1 part that prevents a $200 one. Number 19, sealing the clean connection. Bare lead starts corroding again the day you clean it unless you cover it. A film of dielectric grease or petroleum jelly over the assembled clamp keeps the acid mist and moisture off the metal. It goes on the outside, over the finished connection, never between the mating faces. A garage man in 1968 sealed everyone. Cleaning stops the corrosion you found. The seal stops the corrosion coming. Number 18, the tray and the hold down. Acid mist runs down and eats the tray, then the hold down bolt, then the fender behind it. You neutralize the tray with the same baking soda solution, dry it, and paint or coat any bare metal. A shopman in 1968 did the tray on every battery he pulled. It is not the battery that rots the fender. It is the acid nobody ever cleaned off underneath it. Here is something nobody is counting. The men who ran those 2 base stations, who cleaned a connection before they condemned a part, are nearly all gone. The youngest are past 80. They did not keep this in a manual. They kept it in their hands, over 40 years of standing in the cold with a wire brush and a cup of soda water. When they go, the brush stays on the shelf at the parts store, $4, exactly where it always was, and the knowing goes into the ground. That chain ran counter to apprentice for 50 years, and then the counter started testing batteries for free, and free tests sell batteries. If this is worth something to you, take 1 second right now and hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell. That is the only reason a video like this ever reaches the next man who needs it. Number 17, chasing every ground, not just the 2 posts. A car has a cable from the negative post to the engine block and a strap from the engine to the body, and those corrode where nobody looks. Dim lights, slow crank, flickering gauges, gauges that read wrong, all of it can come from one green ground strap. A station mechanic in 1968 cleaned all of them for nothing. It was not the wiring that was haunted, it was one dirty connection. Number 16, why he stopped using steel wool. He used it for years, and then he watched a strand bridge a post to the hold down. Steel wool sheds conductive fibers, and a battery will push 600 amps through one without hesitating, and what happens next is a burn or a burst case. In his last years he used a $6 post and clamp brush, the little round one, and nothing else. He did not stop because the wool worked poorly. He stopped because it worked, and then it did something else. Number 15, the face shield and the gloves. Battery acid blinds people. Charging batteries vent hydrogen, which is why an arc at a post can burst a case and throw acid at your face. Safety glasses at a minimum. Gloves, no rings, no watch, no metal on your wrists. A shopman in 1968 would not let a boy near a battery without glasses. It is the one part under your hood that can hurt you in a way no repair fixes. Number 14, cleaning the top of the case. Dust and acid film across the flat top of a battery is slightly conductive, and it lets a small current bleed from post to post, all day, every day, whether the car is running or not. You wipe it with the soda solution and dry it. A garage man in 1968 wiped tops on principle. A battery that goes flat sitting for 2 weeks is often not bad. It is dirty across the top. Number 13, checking the fluid where you still can. Many batteries are sealed, but plenty of commercial and truck batteries still have removable caps, and the plates must stay covered. Exposed plates sulfate permanently, and no cleaning brings them back. You top with distilled water only, never tap. A fleet man in 1968 checked cells every month. The battery did not fail from age. It failed from a 1/4 inch of water nobody added. Number 12, securing the battery so it stops shaking itself apart. A loose battery vibrates, and vibration shakes lead off the plates and loosens the very connection you just cleaned. That hold down is not there to keep it from tipping, it is there to keep the plates intact. A shopman in 1968 tightened hold downs on cars he was not even working on. It was not a defective battery. It was one that had been shaken to death. Number 11. Never adding tap water and never adding acid. Tap water carries minerals that poison the plates, and acid is only added when a battery is first filled, never after, because what evaporates from a cell is water, not acid. Adding acid to a working battery destroys it. A station man in 1968 kept a jug of distilled on the bench for exactly this reason. The cell lost water. That is the only thing it lost. There is a reason nobody at the counter tells you to clean it first. Count the money. A Group 35 battery is $150 to $250 now, and an absorbed glass mat battery for a stop-start car is $250 to $400. Installation on a car where the battery lives under a seat or behind a fender liner is another $50 to $150, and on many modern cars, the new battery has to be registered to the charging system with a scan tool, which is a shop visit by itself. Now count the other side. A post brush, $6. A box of baking soda, $2. Felt washers, $1. Dielectric grease, $5. $14 of supplies against a $300 sale, and the free test at the counter is performed by the man who sells the battery. The craft was not lost. It was made unprofitable, and then it was allowed to die. Do me one favor before we get to the top 9. Hit like, subscribe, and turn that bell on so the next one finds you. That is the entire price of this. Number 10. Testing voltage cold before anything else. A cheap multimeter. Black lead to negative, red to positive, engine off and sitting overnight. About 12.6 volts is a full battery. 12.4 is around 3/4. Below 12.2 is significantly discharged, and you have a reason to look for, not a battery to buy. A shopman in 1968 read a meter before he read a customer. The meter is $15. The guess is $300. Number 9. Watching the voltage while it cranks. This is the free test that names the fault. Leave the meter on the posts and have someone crank the engine. A healthy battery holds above about 9.6 volts while cranking. If it collapses to 6 or 7, it is genuinely finished. If it holds and the engine still cranks slow, the battery is fine and your problem is a connection or the starter. A garage man in 1968 called it in one crank. Number 8. Checking the charging system before condemning anything. Engine running. The meter across the posts should read roughly 13.7 to 14.7 volts. Below that, the alternator is not keeping up and it will kill a brand new battery in a season. Above 15, it is overcharging and boiling the electrolyte out. A station man in 1968 checked the charge before he sold a part. A dead battery is sometimes a battery. Often, it is what has been feeding it. Number 7. Hunting the parasitic draw. If a good battery goes flat over a few days, something is staying awake. A glove box lamp, a trunk light, an aftermarket radio, a bad relay. The old test was a meter in series on the negative cable, waiting for the modules to sleep, then pulling fuses one at a time until the number drops. A shopman in 1968 found a glove box bulb that had cost a man 2 batteries. Number 6. Charging it slowly instead of replacing it. A discharged battery that has never been frozen or shorted will usually come back on an overnight charge at 2 amps. Fast charging at 40 amps heats the plates and shortens its life, which is exactly what the free boost at the counter does. A mechanic in 1968 put a battery on the slow charger and told the man to come back tomorrow. Slow charging restores it. Fast charging just makes it warm. Number 5. Never jump starting to the negative post. The last clamp you connect makes a spark, and a battery vents hydrogen so that spark belongs as far from the caps as you can put it. Red to the dead positive, red to the good positive, black to the good negative, and the last black clamp to bare engine metal on the dead car. A shopman in 1968 taught the order before the reason. The order is not fussiness. It puts the spark somewhere safe. Number 4. Understanding what cold actually does. At 0 degrees, a battery delivers roughly half the cranking amps it does at 80, while cold oil makes the engine several times harder to turn. So a battery at 70% health that started your car all summer fails on the first hard morning, and men blame the cold. The cold did not break it. The cold only stopped hiding what the summer had let it get away with. Number 3. Knowing the 5 places a no-start actually lives. You do not guess. It is the posts and clamps, the engine ground and the body strap, the battery's own state of charge, the charging system, or a draw pulling it down overnight. Nearly every dead car in America is one of those 5, and only one of them is a battery. A station man in 1968 walked them in order every time. It is not mysterious. It is 5 places, in sequence. Number 2, the autumn service on 2 posts. Once a year, before the first cold night, you take the clamps off, brush both posts and both clamp faces bright, neutralize the tray, snug the clamps, and seal them. It takes 15 minutes and about $14 of supplies that last for years. It is not a repair. It is a standing appointment with the one part that decides whether the car starts tomorrow morning. Number 1. Cleaning the connection before you believe the diagnosis. That is all. 2 minutes with a brush before you accept anybody's word that the battery is finished, including your own. Because a dirty connection and a dead battery produce exactly the same slow crank, and the only thing separating a $14 fix from a $300 one is a man willing to find out which he has. Your grandfather did this without calling it anything. He called it keeping after it. Number 1 is not a trick. It is the check that makes the other 24 worth knowing. If this was worth your time, hit like, subscribe, and turn on that bell right now. It cost you nothing, and it is the whole reason I get to keep making these. None of this needed a certification, a scan tool, or a subscription to anything. It needed a $6 brush, a box of baking soda, a 15-liter meter, and a man who refused to condemn a part he had not yet cleaned. That was the default setting in every station in America. Not confidence handed down from a classroom. Confidence built from having cleaned enough connections to know how many good batteries get thrown away wearing a white crust. We did not lose the brush. It is on the shelf at the parts store, $6. Exactly where it always was. We lost the hands that reached for it first, and the old man who scrubbed 2 posts, snugged 2 clamps, handed the keys back and said, "There, that is all it ever needed," and never wrote a ticket for it. So tell me down in the comments what you are driving, how old the battery is, and whether there is white crust on those posts right now. Go out and look. That is the whole test, and half of you are about to find your answer sitting in the driveway. He is gone now, and most of what he knew went with him. But not all of it, because some of it is in this video, written down at last. So before you buy anything, get a brush and a cup of soda water and clean both posts and both clamps, then try it. Next time, I will show you how those same men read an alternator with nothing but a meter and a headlight, and caught a failing one weeks before it left anybody standing. The craft is not dead. It is $6 and a willing hand away.